Wahoo! Wahoo! Or we should go, here we go!
In a world where entertainment is viewed as mindless diversion, only good for momentary distraction, you are about to enter a new world, and you will never view entertainment in the same way again. This is Popcorn Theology.
Welcome, movie lovers and theology nerds, to Popcorn Theology, where we examine films for where they align with our greatest story and greatest storyteller of all, discussing what to receive, reject, redeem, for common ground, fruitful conversation, and mindful movie consumption. It's-a me, Miles.
It's-a me, Jim.
Oh, man, I think you're doing better.
Yeah, okay, all right.
We're going to have a It's-a me off. We were talking about this. I can do some of the Mario. I can do, wahoo!
that one was actually pretty good. That was a good one.
I could do that one from playing a lot of N64. But yeah, so if at this point you don't understand what movie we're talking about, we're looking at the Super Mario Galaxy movie, directed by Michael Jelenic, I think it is. Sorry, Michael. And Aaron Horvath. And starring Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, and Jack Black, and a few others that we'll talk about after the spoiler warning.
Mario,
yes.
The movie is about Mario and his friends venturing into space. They're exploring the cosmic worlds and tackling galactic challenges, all to rescue a princess and to stop Bowser Jr. from destroying the entire galaxy.
Yeah, rescuing princesses, fighting dragons. It's great stuff.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And then, all right, so as a movie, if this is popcorn, judging our popcorn rating, stale, fresh, or buttered and salted, I'd say diving into this one, I liked the first one quite a bit, but I'll say that this one is the stale side of fresh for me. I can't quite say that it was stale because it was entertaining. It was enjoyable enough. I liked the little nods to the Mario music all the time that was not kind of hitting you over the head, but it was just in the background, like the funk Mario, that party was pretty great. And the animation is really good. It's kind of amazing. The textures and everything.
Yeah.
It's clearly not, they weren't slouches in making this movie, but it did feel a little bit kind of cookie cutter for me.
Yeah.
And not quite as rich as the first one.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. Stale fresh is a good description of it. It's so fast paced. It's called the Super Mario Brothers Galaxy movie, right? But it seems like the Super Mario Brothers take a back seat in their own movie. That's kind of an issue. But you're right. I mean, the animation is off the charts, and even the action in that. I mean, the use of the power ups and how they go about things in the movie, fantastic, well done. They were just aspects I would have liked to see changed a little bit, but we won't get into there because we're still spoiler free thoughts.
Yeah. Amen to so much what you just said there quickly. Yeah. And so that's our popcorn ratings, about stale side of fresh. And then for our theology ratings, if this is a theological soda, would you say it's diluted, carbonated, or just my cup runneth over with things to talk about?
Yeah, it is. When you have a Coke and you open it and you get that first drink, it's like, nice carbonation. And then you drink it for a couple hours and that carbonation's still there. It's just not the same. That's kind of how I feel about this movie. It's still carbonated. It's just not, it's not that first drink. I mean, there's some fun themes in this movie. One particular theme that stuck out to me was a not so good character and the themes that follow that character. The movie, again, it's so quick. It's easy to lose track of the themes that are woven throughout the movie without having watched it a second time. So there were a couple things where I was like, maybe they're hitting at this. And then I just completely forgot as I was watching the movie. What about you, Miles? What do you think?
Yeah, it was almost diluted for me. I honestly didn't have too many themes bouncing out. My wife actually really helped me. We'll talk about this, but she leans over to me. There's a character in this movie who the stories they heard when they were young affect the rest of their life. And she goes, popcorn theology.
Oh, that's cool.
She goes, it's important what kind of stories we tell. But like you said, Mario and Luigi don't even really have an arc
Yeah.
I almost forget that they were in the movie.
Yeah.
Except for a few kind of great things that they do. But really, the most interesting character in the movie is a villain, which is very fun. We'll talk about that after we drop the spoilers. It's kind of worth keeping as a spoiler.
Yep.
And so with that, we'll drop our ads quickly and dive into some spoiler territory because it's worth a little bit waiting for. So in the meantime, if you like this podcast or this topic and engaging media from a Christian worldview, I encourage you to like, share, subscribe, engage with us on YouTube or through our podcasts. And then if you really want to join us on a trip through the galaxy of the various types of movies that are out there, you can support us for just a few dollars a month as a patron saint of Popcorn Theology. Gives you special access to exclusive benefits, access to our Facebook group, which is pretty fun, the Patron Saint Facebook group, because it's just, if you want somebody who shares your niche sense of humor and interests, there's a group right there. And you can also join in some of our In the Lobby episodes and vote on future episodes. In about every 6 weeks, we have you guys vote and tell us where we should go in the galaxy of movies. But with that, we'll drop our ads and come back with our spoiler discussion of Super Mario Galaxy.
Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane!
Cinemagog, The Marvelous Era. James Harleman here, the cinema guy, announcing the sequel to my first book on film and faith. Let's face it, entertainment has changed dramatically since the first book published in 2012, and comic book characters and franchises are everywhere. So I decided to set my sights on superheroes and examine the evolution of Hollywood in this follow-up to the first Cinemagog book. For example, what does Loki tell us about culture's view of God? Why does the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Infinity Saga continually align with biblical themes? In the Marvelous Era, I review each film and show not only how the individual movies express gospel parallels, but each phase essentially reveals a multi-point sermon. I also explore DC, Star Wars, the Monsterverse, and more. Without compromising scriptural truth, we can sift these stories and discover how we might reject, receive, and redeem ideas for personal reflection and Christian conversation. Also, has Hollywood's messaging gotten worse? The book explores ways these marvelous mythologies correspond with conversion, Christian living, church history, and Reformation, but I do also highlight what has been the entertainment industry's darker, indoctrinating decade, as well as toxic fandom and the dangers of immersion in pop culture that just might drown us spiritually if we're not careful. So suit up, assemble, and join me on a journey to the Infinity Saga and beyond. Cinemagog, The Marvel Us Era. Now available on Amazon.com in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle edition.
Hey, this is David, and if you're listening to Popcorn Theology, it's probably because you're interested in theology or movies, or best of all, both. And that means that you're our kind of people, sharing common interests with our listeners and viewers as well. So why not partner with us and advertise your business or ministry right here on Popcorn Theology? We're looking for great, like-minded sponsors and offer reasonable rates with a variety of formats to get your message out. Remember, our fans aren't mindless consumers, so they'll give you thoughtful consideration. That's a big part of what we're all about here. So for more information on advertising with us, contact feedback@popcorntheology.com.
And we're back, dropping the spoiler warning as we dig deeper into the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And so, tasting some of that popcorn that was, again, stale side of fresh. Again, this movie was beautiful to look at, fun sequences. Like, I could tell my wife made a few comments when, was it Peach who was doing the Matrix Reloaded fight in that casino?
Yep.
She's like, this is just not very realistic or grounded or anything. And I was like, I know, but I know they are tapping into the greatest moment in Matrix Reloaded.
Yes, yep.
Where she's fighting all those dudes in a cool room where the gravity is changing. And I was like, this is fun. This is what this is meant to be. It's like, it doesn't make a ton of sense, but it's fun. And I looked at my wife on one side, and then I looked over to my son, who's 5.5 years old, and he loved this thing. Mission accomplished for my 5-year-old son. And he's getting old enough to where we could all go to a movie together that we all enjoyed. And that was so much fun.
Yes. Yeah.
But there's some things that's interesting, like, I don't know if they were going for this ideologically, but notable absences in the movie is any good father. And in particular, there were no intact families, no father and mother together. You even had strangely enough, some sisters who are virgin born savior figures that
Yep.
the universe, not the mind behind the universe, I guess, creates them in order to protect the universe. Kind of neat, but
Yes.
it
Yep.
was strange family dynamics for a family movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah,
The
good.
the whole concept of the movie, it's interesting because you in the first movie you have Mario and Luigi's family, and they
Yeah,
play a big part in Mario and Luigi becoming the heroes that they become at the end of the movie. And then in this movie, you really don't have any families, and that's an interesting concept there. Almost at the end, we dropped the spoiler warning, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, okay. At the end of the movie, you have the sisters coming back together, right? And so you have
yeah.
more of a family dynamic taking place there. But even before that, the characters are clearly just friends. There's not a familial bond that's tying any of them together. And so, yeah, families being absent. But then also, they did my boy Donkey Kong a great disservice because he doesn't
Yeah.
even appear in the movie,
And
which
he
is
was great.
it's a
He had
shame.
a great arc in
He did.
his dynamic with his dad. I'm not saying there's no family in here because the themes of father and son, mother and daughter are there. Like the beginning begins with Rosalina, who I thought was Peach for like 15 minutes in the
Mm.
movie. I didn't realize it was a different character. I thought this was Peach. Like for some reason reading to these stars, and she's reading her own story, which I might if I was as cool as those characters.
Oh yeah.
But it turns but it's side bangs Peach. But I like the fact that she was a mom,
Yeah.
and that was part of her motivation. So it's just some interesting, I
Had
don't know,
you
kind of a
had
mixed
you
salad of it
played
all.
did you play, Mario Galaxy? Was that
I did
okay.
not. Did you?
I played a little bit of it.
Okay.
Solomon and I have played some of it. He's 7 now, and he's the same way. He loved this movie. He thought it was fantastic. He
Yeah.
liked it better than the first one, and I looked at him and was like, "Really? Really? You like this
That's
better
who
than the
it's made
first
for.
one?" It's like, um yeah,
Yeah.
but it makes sense that you think that Rosalina was Peach because of how similar they look, and of course you find out in the movie that they're sisters. But that totally makes sense. At one point, Solomon was pointing out like that's not Peach, that is Rosalina. So he was just from
Thanks.
our small amount of time there, he got it.
Yeah. It's fun, and looking at your 7-year-old, my 5.5-year-old, it did its job, and it can be what it's going to be because they took the things that little boys liked, apparently, of the first movie,
Mhm.
and cranked those up, and they took a lot of the stuff that I liked and cranked it down.
Yes, they did. Yep.
But
Except
it was
for Donkey Kong. Solomon was not happy that Donkey Kong was on in this
ah
movie. We played Donkey Kong Bonanza, came out for Switch 2. Fantastic game, whole lot of fun, really fresh take on Donkey Kong, and we were both looking forward to hopefully seeing him in this movie. He's nowhere in existence in this movie, and I think that was
yeah.
the biggest letdown for us with this movie
Maybe
was the lack of Donkey Kong.
we've been looking for sound effects. Maybe he got hit with a fireball and ran off going
Uh-huh. That was a good one too, yeah.
I played a lot of N64. He had a few sound effects
Yep.
that I memorized, and I didn't play any Mario Galaxy. But yeah, so we've been bouncing back and forth. But why did you think this movie was carbonated? Do you have any more thoughts there?
Yeah, I feel like this movie was trying to be a love letter to Nintendo fans, and so there are a lot of cameos that are within this movie. The 3 that I noticed, I'm sure there was probably more. Of course, everyone is aware of Star Fox, right? He's right there in your
Yeah.
face. I was pumped to see that he was in the movie. I was not expecting that. And then you have Rob, which his scene, as funny as it was just a ripoff of Zootopia with Flash. That's all that was. But there's Rob. They put him in there, and then I don't know the guy's name, but the Pixel guy. I know him
Oh.
from. I don't think I've actually ever played the video game he's from, but I've played Smash Brothers, which has him in it.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what his name was, but there were 3 cameos there that I saw where I was like, oh, that they're almost building a like NCU, Nintendo Cinematic Universe,
Yeah.
and they're adding in these other characters there, which was fun. The action you pointed out, Peach's Matrix scene. I mean, all the action within this movie, they took what was great about the first movie and all the action in it, and they amp it up. So I'm not even upset about the action. I thought it was great. I'm really glad with the power ups and everything they added into it. It was fun to watch, all of those action scenes. But one reason I think it's carbonated and it's not rated in it's not that first drink of carbonation, right? The reason for that is it has the sequel curse. It is too fast paced for its own good. It misses so much build up and depth that the first movie had. You One of my biggest critiques with this movie is you're not actually journeying with the hero through the movie. You're just kind of along for the ride. So in
Hmm.
the first movie, I felt like it did a really good job with helping you get invested in the movie. In this movie, it's just like almost every other sequel that you watch. You already know the characters, so they don't spend time actually telling you about the character anymore. They might have a couple nods as to what the character's been doing, but they just move. And that's all this movie did. As soon as it starts, here's a little bit about what's going on, and now let's move. They got to get to the end point. And I think that's
Yeah.
what's disappointing about this movie. The stakes were unclear. I know he's trying to take over the galaxy, but even still,
But even destroy the galaxy
yeah,
with the what was it? The boom? I forget. It was a good name for a gun.
the boom cannon or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Even with that though, it didn't seem like the stakes were as high as they were in the first movie. Even
yeah,
with your Rosalina scene where she's having energy or power drained from her, they don't explain why that's such a big deal. I know like they're supposed to be powering or building their own world, but they don't really clearly tell you that she's going to die from that. You just kind of
yeah.
infer that that's a thing. Um, and once she's captured, you don't really see a whole lot of interaction with her. So there are areas I would have liked to see different, and I would have loved for them to actually breathe and take their time. One of the parts I think of it the most in the Super Mario Brothers movie is when they're walking through the mushrooms after they just get in there, and you just kind of learning about the world, and
Yeah.
it's almost that enter the wardrobe kind of moment that C.S. Lewis does a really good job with, and I think the Disney movies with Narnia did a really good job with. You just enter the world and it's just silence and you can breathe a little bit and you get to walk around and see like this is not the real world. I feel like they just completely missed an opportunity with the galaxy aspect being added in. They just moved so much. And it's like
Yeah.
you just missed the vastness of this universe that's
Love it.
supposed to be on screen.
And I thought it was almost going to be so. It's like Super Mario Brothers, the first movie, was like their brotherhood is so great. I was like, oh, is this going to be Peach's movie? And she and her sister have the same kind of relationship that the Super Mario Brothers have. And I was like, that's interesting. But they didn't even really land that plane very well
Nope. Yeah.
either. I was like, is she going to be kind of like Entangled, where she's like, oh, I was always wondering about my origin, and now I get to see I was actually loved all along. There's some of that, but it just was just kind of a middle. So yeah, it was just tough. Also, another thing that was interesting is, so Yoshi was in this movie, which is a favorite. I like Yoshi. Do you know who played Yoshi?
Uh, um, Kid something.
Like it's
Childish
Childish
Gambino.
Gambino.
Yeah, that's it.
Donald Glover from Community, and who's like immensely talented. But Yoshi, you couldn't even tell.
Here's my Yoshi. Yoshi. That's all you hear him say. That's it. Yeah.
It's just I can't believe that they got somebody so famous, and like he did a fine job. But I was like, man, it seems like you could have spent millions on something else. I don't know how much
That's
they paid
almost
him.
like Vin Diesel though, right? With Groot.
Yeah,
He just comes in to lay down "I am Groot" and then he bounces, and now his name's on all of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I like that the mushroom is not very happy about it. He's like, wait, so you just find this dinosaur and now he's part of the team now?
They don't even resolve that though. Well, I guess
Nope.
kind of when Yoshi turns them back from babies. There's kind of like a mutual respect thing going on.
Yeah.
What I will say is this movie does not resolve everything it could have. Even as you're talking about like the sister arc, I would have been perfectly fine if this movie, as a Super Mario Brothers movie, wants to explore sisterhood. And you have almost a mirror dynamic going on where the Super Mario Brothers, they end on such a high note in the first movie that they're kind of the exemplar of what the relationship should be throughout the movie. And then if you have more conflict with Rosalina and Peach throughout the movie, even like when you find out Rosalina sent her away, like have Peach upset about that. you sent me away and I've been by myself all this time and there was no threat and you were here with all these star children and you never came after me. Like that would have been a perfect conflict for those two sisters to have to work through, for you to believe at the end, okay, now we're going to sacrifice everything to make sure that Rosalina's safe. Like, but yeah, they don't resolve it. And that's, I think that's the biggest, that's what I'm getting at when I'm saying there was just no time to breathe. It's just
because
point
the
A to point B
ingredients were
to,
pretty good. Yeah, you're just kind of thrown in there. It's a movie. It's entertaining. It's fun. And so, yeah, with that, it's going to make our as we start branching into our theology section, we'll take a sip of that soda, and yeah, it's like for me, I couldn't really identify clear themes throughout, but lots of little moments. Like going into this movie from the trailers, I was already having popcorn theology discussions with my son, which was very fun. So he like when we were watching the trailer getting built up, we watched the first one the day before we watched it building up, and like, oh man, that's so much fun. And my son comes up to me and he says, Bowser Jr., he's kind of a bad guy, but kind of a good guy. He just wants to help his dad.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is a good discussion. See, like Bowser in the first movie, he just wanted to marry Peach, right? It's like theoretically good motives, but it was an opportunity to say, there's a difference between someone's motives and their actions. And we need to be able to, even if we're trying, we can't do evil so that good may come. We can't use evil means to achieve good ends. We have to do both.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was even able to bring that into a Batman discussion. Mr. Freeze is one of my favorite examples of this. Mr. Freeze is motivated by love and care for his wife. There's hardly a higher motive, at least under the sun. But he does evil in order to do that. And so there's an opportunity in both of these movies to talk to your kids about, even if you have a seemingly good motive, the way that you go about achieving them matters. And so there's those kind of things scattered throughout both of these movies, but they don't land them very well. And the trailer made it seem like Bowser Jr.'s motive was only saving his dad, when really it was like fulfilling his dad's dream in order to destroy the universe.
Yeah.
for no clear
reason. Yeah. That's part of the problem. And man, even just thinking about Bowser Jr., I'm reminded of Luke chapter 6, verse 40, right? Disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone when he is fully trained will be like his teacher. And so I think there's an aspect in which emulating your father can be a good thing. Of course, in this case, Bowser Jr. is emulating all the worst parts of his father, which is a very true reality of a fallen world. I find myself frequently emulating parts of my father, my earthly father. I think he's a good man. He loves the Lord. But growing up, as his son, I see the worst aspects of my dad.
Yeah.
And then I'm in my own house and those aspects are coming out in me. I'm like, oh.
And then when when you see something in your son that you knew he learned from you, some sinful habit. Oh, and so that's what you see in this movie is the effects of a bad father being perpetuated, and his son even draws him back down into the depths through this movie.
Yep.
And that's which I think this give it a good opportunity for you to dive into your main point here.
Yeah.
It's about
So watching the movie, I'm thinking of this theme of first Adam, second Adam. Bowser in the first movie, he represented the serpent from the garden. And we were just talking about that beforehand too, right? He's the serpent from the garden. He's the one who takes the princess, forces a man from another world to come and to save her. And what we have in this film is he's playing more of a first Adam, second Adam parallel in one. We see where the first Adam brings death in the way that Bowser, who has a son, Bowser Jr., has raised him in the wicked ways of sin. And so like father, like son, right? You have that playing out in Bowser, and you have Bowser saying at certain points, actually, my name is still working through his demons. That you have him saying, I'm still working through my demons, and has these lashes that are coming out, right? And that's supposed to be the old Bowser that's taking place. That's the first Adam aspect, right? All through the first Adam die, but all through the second Adam would live. And so Bowser has this beautiful picture of old man versus new man. throughout the entirety of the movie, right? He's wrestling, as Paul writes in Romans, with a desire to do what is right, but has no ability in himself to carry it out. And so you
Hmm.
ultimately see Bowser is unable to redeem himself, right? That's where you see he's wrestling with Bowser Jr. I think Bowser Jr. blows up Star Fox's ship, right? And Bowser is trying to tell him, like, don't kill him. They're not that lame. Like, uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And so then you get the baby Ray that blows up the ship, and
Yeah.
um, and so that whole aspect, you see him wrestling with, like, I know this isn't right. I'm a new man, but then you see ultimately he diverts back into it. And so you have him, then he's unable to redeem himself. He can't break free of his evil ways. He needs a second Adam, or a second man to come. He needs Jesus ultimately to bring what is dead in him to life. And so when Bowser becomes skeleton Bowser, this is such a perfect and clear picture of our reality apart from Christ. There's your gospel parallel there. You have a dead Bowser, a skeletal Bowser, dead in our sins and trespasses, as the scriptures
Yeah.
talk, right? And so you and I, apart from Jesus, and every single human being on this planet, apart from Jesus, we're skeletal Bowsers. We're walking dead men. We're the valley of dry bones that Ezekiel sees and says, but God, who can bring these to life? And of course, God is the only thing, is the only one who can bring these dead things back to life. And so that's what I was thinking about throughout that. Any thoughts on that, Miles?
Yeah, I couldn't believe walking through this movie that the most interesting and relatable character was
It
Bowser,
was Bowser.
struggling with, oh, I am a sinner who's trying to fix my life.
Hmm.
And his struggles back and forth were really relatable, and it was surprising to me. It wasn't predictable. I thought that he was going to be in a cage the whole time and his son was trying to save him and he's all rebellious, but he most of the time is trying to be a better man, being a better lizard,
Better Koopa.
better Koopa. And he even says, let me go be big again, and I promise you won't regret it. And he even is willing to lay his own life down for Mario.
Yep.
I will be in prison for you. And I thought, wow, they've redeemed Bowser. But nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Well,
He goes back to his old man.
Bowser shows us a clear picture of what the Christian life, apart from the everyday means of grace that the Lord gives us, is like. That is just the reality of it. You have a Bowser who has people around him, right? He's doing book studies with Luigi and all of those kinds of things, right? He has people around him, and there's progressive growth in him, right? That's not to say he's completely sanctified. He's not completely righteous, right? He has those sudden outbursts. He's still, he says, "Oh, hey, Luigi," and then he looks, "Hey, Mario." He's not happy with Mario. It's very clear. But you do see aspects of him very early on in the film that he wants to be a good Koopa. He wants to live out being that redeemed individual. And then what you see is what is that saying? Good bad company ruins good morals.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so you
Corinthians.
have him walking away from what would be a community of believers, or a community of men and women who want to see him redeemed. And he walks away from that. And as he walks away from that, he gives into isolation, isolation of bad company that would ruin his morals and not make him look any more like Christ, or any more like the redeemed Koopa that he's worked so hard to accomplish to be. And I think ultimately then you see his true form is revealed at the end of the movie, right? And that just goes to show, apart from the work of God in our life, and the redemption of Jesus in
I'm
our life.
Bowser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Bowser, and I'll always be Bowser, and there's no hope for me not to be Bowser unless someone steps into my place. And that's where your first Adam, second Adam comes into place, because through the character of Bowser, we see our reality, our identity is all in Adam die. That's what Romans 5 tells us, right? And then it says, what is it, verse 15 here? But the free gift is not like the trespass. For if many died through one man's trespass, that's Adam, much more have the grace of God and the free gift by the grace of that one man, Jesus Christ, abounded for many. And so the reality for the Christian is we were in Adam. And though we may not be perfect now, one day we will be. One day we will be like Christ, and we will be with him for all eternity. And it's only because the second man, the second Adam, came and died in our place and lived a life that we cannot, died a death that we deserve, and rose victorious over sin and death, ascending to the right hand of the Father. So there's a beautiful gospel
Mhm.
picture there that takes place in this movie. Even though it doesn't hit all of the beautiful, deep themes that the first movie did, that was a clear and blaring one for me, at least.
And again, it was so surprising to me that they had him on. Of all the characters, I didn't think he would have the most interesting arc of
Mhm.
anybody in the movie.
Yeah.
The other characters were thematically boring, but his struggle, it's
That's
just was so much fun. I had the same basic thing. As this was the thing that's worth talking about in the movie is his journey, and for me, it reminded me of the four soils. You know, Jesus tells the
yeah.
parable about the kingdom of heaven is like a farmer who spreads the soil. There's the hard path where the birds come and take away the seed. There's the rocky path where it springs up but doesn't bear fruit when the sun scorches it. And then there's the thorny path where the plant springs up and the thorns choke it out. And then there's the good soil that produces 30, 60, 100 fold. And Jesus explains it's like the hard path is people who don't hear the good news of the kingdom, don't respond. Rocky path is somebody who hears the good news and receives it with joy. This would be like people who look like they're Christians, who might even be able to say, Jesus died for me,
Yep.
right? They're excited. They're going to church. And then as soon as life gets hard, they fall away.
Yes.
And then there's the thorny soil where it's somebody who grows up, but the worries and cares, the deceitfulness of riches, all these things that you care about in life choke out the life. I couldn't quite figure out which of those middle soils fit Bowser better. The rocky soil is persecution, and the thorns is worries and cares, and both of those are a little bit, but really it's, you highlighted it, bad company corrupts good morals.
Yeah.
But Jesus says that there are people that need to, the genuine disciples of Jesus will persist to the end instead of falling away like Bowser did.
Yes. Well, Bowser serves as a warning to us too, doesn't he? Not only does he give us the reality of our condition apart from Christ, but he serves as a warning. Jesus himself in Matthew 23:27, he gives the woes, right? And he says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly appear beautiful, but within are full of dead people's bones and all uncleanness." So think about the scene with the bee queen, and Bowser says, what is it? It's like, "I'm worth 500 of your bees, worker bees," or whatever, right? And then he like starts flexing, and you look at that and it's like, oh man, he's ripped, he's muscular, and
he's
she
ripped,
looks
and
at
in that moment, he's kind, he's sacrificing himself.
Yep.
And in the end, he's like a whitewashed tomb
He's a
because
whitewashed tomb.
underneath it, what is really left is the fiery bones.
That's it.
That he is at the end of this movie.
Yep.
And
No way for him to actually be beautiful or clean or actually alive on his own. And so that it serves as a warning to us, right? Because you and I, we can check all the boxes. We can look like we are fulfilling righteousness. We can say the right things and act the right way and those kinds of things. And all the while, we can be completely and totally far from Christ. We could be doing all of those things for the wrong reasons. Hebrews even tells us that to do anything apart from faith is actually sin. So you're doing the good, right? You're doing good things, you're keeping the law, but if you have not faith in Christ as you're keeping the law, you're sinning. You're not doing so in faith.
In the end, all the goodness will be burned off. You know, all that will be left
Just
is
bones.
the core of who you are. Is just the bones. So it's a really interesting picture, and I think this is the third time I've said it. Completely surprising to me.
Yep.
That Bowser was
came
going to be
from
the
Bowser.
source of the most important lesson in this movie, and I would barely remember what Mario and Luigi did.
You know,
Except,
I was expecting this to be a Luigi movie. I was expecting Luigi to get more of the limelight, and maybe they dig in a little more to his like cowardly ways, right? Where you had the Super Mario Brothers movie be mostly about Mario. I was expecting it to be the flip, but we got a Bowser movie.
Well, it's, you know, I didn't have, we got a Bowser movie. That's great. Like, I didn't have any grand themes beyond kind of what you identified, but there were three kind of small micro themes or moments that I thought were great. And speaking of Luigi, the brotherly love is still really strong in this movie.
It is, yeah.
Like, I love the fact that Luigi is reasonably scared of all of these terrible things in the world that they face. He's scared of everything until his brother is in danger.
Hmm.
Then he dives across the room and knees Bowser Jr. in the face. Boom!
Oh,
Slow
yeah.
motion. He goes from being so scared of Yoshi one scene earlier, and now he's like, boom, stay away from my brother. And I was thinking, boy, if like in Project Hail Mary, I don't think this is a spoiler, but one of the themes in the movie is what makes a brave person. And one of the answers in the movie is finding somebody who's worth being brave for.
Yeah.
Usually somebody you love or a child or a solid friend. In this case, I love that Mario and Luigi enjoy being brothers and they are willing to fight and sacrifice for each other. I mean, that was really pretty refreshing.
Yeah. That's worth receiving.
Yeah.
That's really good.
I'm kind of just doing an early lightning round here.
That's
Is what
it.
I'm doing.
That's good though, man.
And I have so another one. This is my wife Jenny's point. It was so good when she leaned over. So what you have is Bowser Jr., who is living his life based on the bedtime stories of Bowser Sr.
Hmm.
And what was the story? Your friends can't be trusted, and the world is out to get you. What we're going to do is go away, build a Bowser world, and build a cannon in which we could destroy the universe from it. And she just leans over to me and says, the stories we tell our children are so important.
Hmm.
That's popcorn theology right there.
That's
Being
great.
mindful consumers. And so, like, Bowser Jr. is living the story that he's been taught. And so as popcorn theologians saying, you need to receive, reject, and redeem the stories that you are told. And a Christian framework helps you do that. Boy, Bowser
Yeah.
Jr. could
Well,
have.
and think about your
used that.
there is a parallel there. I'm so glad she pointed that out. Because it just made me think of there's a parallel there. The movie starts out with Rosalina telling a story to the stars, right? Her star
Oh,
children
yeah,
are
you're
being
right.
taught about this brave princess and these two brave warriors from another world. And so these stars have a moral foundation that they have been told proper and right and good and true and beautiful stories, right? And they're even asking to be told more of these stories. And then the parallel there is you have Rosalina, who's like the present mom, the one that is discipling her kids well. And then you have Bowser, who's the absent father. And as an absent father, you then have him telling these stories to Bowser Jr. when he's around, and telling Bowser Jr., hey, this is how the world is, and it sucks. So we're going to rebuild the world in our own image, and it's going to be the greatest world ever because we've rebuilt it. And so what you have in that storytelling is not a moral foundation, it's actual moral bankruptcy. They're saying, well, this sucks, which they're morally bankrupt because then they're saying, so we're just going to rebuild everything in our own image and we're going to create morality for ourselves. So because friends suck, we won't have any more friends. We're going to create our own world. So you have two stories,
Yeah.
two parallels, which actually gives us a good mirror of our own world, right? There are two stories, there are two parallels. Christian parents are telling the real story, the good, the true, and the beautiful story that gives children a right and proper framework for moral living, for good living, for a way in which is right unto the Lord. And then non-Christian parents in the unbelieving world is then giving a counterfeit story, one story that is morally bankrupt, that actually does not benefit anyone. I mean, if you look at history, anywhere Christianity has gone, the culture has benefited from. Anywhere Christianity is removed from, the culture is only further affected for the negative. And so what you have here is a parallel of our very real reality of two stories that are being told. One of the upright kingdom, right? And then one of the
Yeah.
upside down kingdom. Two kingdoms,
Yeah.
two stories, two parallels.
Man, yeah, this is why I do popcorn theology with people.
Yes.
Good job. Because I didn't even notice that. And that was the way the movie opened.
That's how it opens.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. It reminds me a bit of Deuteronomy 6, where the Shema that Jews pray every day. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Then the very next thing after that is, and these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. The story that you are living, if you are, being a popcorn theologian as you're walking around in the world. This could impact your children for
Yeah.
the better. And it's like, oh, it's very, very, very cool. And so I got to thank my wife for it, because
That's great.
she just leaned over to me, like almost looked. I'm one of those people who pulls out my phone in the theater, not because I'm texting like they tell you. It's because I'm writing popcorn theology notes if it's good.
Taking notes.
The stories we tell our children are important. And then another aspect of this movie that I think was just great is that it shows love for your enemies.
Mm-hmm.
2 times in this movie, Mario saves a Bowser from being devoured by some kind of dragon. So the first time, Bowser is small, and Yoshi's like, I'm not putting up with big Bowser. I guess now he's little Bowser.
Yeah.
And Mario saves him from Yoshi. And then later on in the movie, Bowser Jr., with that awesome like paintbrush thing, creates this dragon to devour his enemies. The dragon comes, but it devours his own creator. And Mario does one of the coolest power-ups and saves Bowser Jr. from death by his own hand, even though rightfully you could even kind of cheer at the end of the movie of just letting Bowser Jr. be killed by his own hand. He's doing horrible things, but he loves his enemy. You were talking earlier about Bowser Sr. was surrounded by people who wanted him to be better. And Mario, even though he's reluctant and kind of angry at these guys, is still willing to love his enemy. It's like those moments, like you got to catch them, because it's such a powerful example of heroism. That's the kind of story I want my son to be consuming.
Yeah. And one of the issues I take with the movie is how fast it moves. And so if you're not watching the movie and you're not paying attention to how Mario, because he's such a background character in the second movie, but if you're not paying attention to how Mario is interacting with Bowser and Bowser Jr., you're going to miss those redemptive themes that are taking place there. But also, it's interesting. I don't know, maybe do you know if there are any Christians that are actually taking part in making this film?
I don't know. It sounds like something that James would know.
Yeah, because the dragon symbolism throughout the first and the second film, you have Bowser, a redeemed Bowser who's about to be consumed by a dragon, to which then you have the man from another world stepping in to take him from the jaws of the dragon. And then you have the enemy, right? The enemy who gets swallowed alive by the dragon, reminiscent of Judas even, where you have Judas as the betrayer, and Jesus in the garden says, come and do what you have come to do, my friend, right? And you have him even washing Judas's feet before he's going to betray him. You see ultimate acts of service and love and kindness from Jesus, even though the dragon, the serpent, has already come into Judas's heart to betray Jesus, right? And so again, the movie moves so fast. And part of the story, going back to your wife's point there, the stories we tell our children matter. And so, man, I think we would do a disservice to the movie if we just completely missed that. So I'm so thankful that you pointed that out, and that I've been able to think deeply on that too, because that's something I need to talk with Solomon about, those two aspects.
Yeah, this is why Jews have been doing the Passover for 3,000 years now, right? This is why we have holidays. This is why we tell the kids in Sunday school eventually say, "Oh, I've heard that story before." Yeah, but have you really? Have you really heard it? Because if you really hear it, it will transform you.
Yes.
And it's like, and the worst stories will transform you and bear fruit like they did for Bowser Jr.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's still fun in there. I wish they had fleshed these things out a little bit more, but it's still there. If you got a buddy to do popcorn theology with, you can really do this. And
worth a watch.
You and I are trying to raise some so that we can have popcorn
right.
theology conversations. Well, that was kind of my lightning round, but did you have anything else more to add before we go?
Let me hit it. The theme we talked about a little bit, and we continue to come back to, is fatherhood. And so, one thing I'll say is we need to reject the need or the notion that we have to impress our fathers for any sort of affection or approval from our fathers. There's a notion in men, in particular, that I'm speaking about, that we just want to impress our fathers. We want to live up to a standard, and oftentimes, at least I found in my own relationship with my father. There was a standard that was never communicated by my dad that I was always trying to achieve that he never actually set for me. Um, and it was always completely and totally crushing. I always felt like I was failing him. I always felt like he didn't love me. I always felt like I wasn't man enough. There was this big standard out there. It was a lofty standard. I have to be this kind of man. And that was never something my father set for me. And so, man, the crushing weight of trying to live up to standards, it tends to lead way towards what would be self-righteousness. That happened in my own heart. And then a serious disconnect relationally with my father, because I wasn't self-righteous. Like, I was self-righteous in my own mind. Look at all I'm doing. Why don't you think I'm a man? And then I would do something stupid and he would show me, like, you're clearly not a man yet. And it's like, oh, how could you say that? Look at everything else I'm doing, right? And that's what we see with Bowser and Bowser Jr. That's Bowser Jr.'s entire plot line, is the standard that he thinks he has to live up to, even to the point of when redeemed Bowser comes, or we could say pseudo-redeemed Bowser, he comes in and they're not that lame. Don't kill him, right? Like, Bowser's trying to shift that standard. But Bowser Jr. already has in his head, this is a standard I have to live up to in order for my dad to love me. And so I'd caution to reject that area, that idea, particularly in men, because in some sense, our earthly fatherly relationships, they shape how we see our heavenly Father. And so through Christ, you and I, we don't have to earn favor to be loved or accepted by God. Thankfully, by grace, Christ has achieved the standard for us. So you and I, in our own flesh, could never live up to that standard of our heavenly Father, let alone our earthly fathers. And yet Christ achieved the standard for us. And so now you and I can live in light of him having achieved that standard. So we can be redeemed men. So he sets the standard. He empowers the standard for us to be able to live to. And so knowing that our status with our heavenly Father is secure in Christ, that enables us to then live as redeemed men.
And
That would
in
be an
fact,
area
between
I'd
us and God,
encourage him.
if you're trying to earn it from your heavenly Father, you can't get it.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
here's one I just kind of occurred to me, is that in the movie, there's a time when Rosalina says, "The universe won't forgive you for this," and she's like virgin born from the universe, I think.
Yep.
But it's like, that's something to reject. Is just this either appealing to a universe that does not care about you for some moral standard, or confusing it with God. There's a little bit in there where we went, oh, I wonder what they're trying to get at with this. Is the universe won't forgive you. The universe doesn't care about you. God does.
God does, yes. Yeah.
God cares about it. So that's a bit of a worldview thrown in there that to reject, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
You got anything else? Or
I was just going to say on that, we have a God, objectively true God, who promises to forgive all who by faith look to Christ. So a lot of times you hear the moral argument, well, what about Hitler? What about this? There are men who have done terrible things. One in the name of God, yes, which just proves it's not truly God that they're doing those things for. But then two, that are just playing into their own natural sin. And what I would say is terrible men, even like you and I, Miles, can absolutely find forgiveness in the arms of Christ Jesus alone. And so there's a lot of the, like, let's play the moral high ground, Hitler, those kind of games. And what the gospel says, which is so offensive to the non-believing world and even to us, is yes, even Hitler could have been forgiven if he had truly,
even Bowser Jr.,
even Bowser Jr., even
Hitler.
Bowser himself, right? They could truly be forgiven if they truly repented of their sin and they turned to Christ in faith. That's absolutely possible. So I love that you pointed that out. I have a receive. I'm reminded of John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friend. So one thing we should receive is this perfect summation of the relationship between Rosalina and Peach. Though Peach
Mm.
doesn't know that this is the reality for most of her life, what we find out with Rosalina is that Rosalina has done everything she can, even to the point of potentially sacrificing herself to protect Peach. And so we see at the end where she's being drained, she's doing it to protect Peach. Yes, the galaxy as well, but we find out more of her backstory, right? She sent Peach off to protect Peach. And that's just a
Mhm.
clear picture of what is taught in John 15. No greater love has no one than this, that someone laid down his life for a friend. And of course, we see that the righteous man would not lay down his life for a friend, those kinds of things that Jesus goes on to
Mm.
say. But we see this picture in here that Rosalina loves perfectly. And a perfect love is one that is willing to lay down their life for another friend. So we should receive that. We should have more friendships that are willing to lay down their life, literally lay down their life for their
Yeah.
friend. We should receive that. That's all I
So,
got, though.
so again, good moments, right? A lot of the themes weren't strung all the way through, but some really worthwhile moments to receive, reject, redeem in those three buckets. But for us, the credits are about to roll on this episode. But I just want you to keep up. We got some really fun episodes coming next, and as silly as it is, I'm a big fan of what we're gonna call Devil Month, where we got Devil Wears Prada, Daredevil, Devil's Advocate coming up. But between now and then, keep engaging media and movies from a godly worldview, and remember, you are not a mindless consumer.
Thanks for watching this episode of Popcorn Theology. For more content, subscribe on YouTube. Follow and interact on social media to help broaden the conversation. Check out our archive of past episodes at popcorntheology.com or wherever you listen to podcasts, and consider becoming a patron saint by supporting us on Patreon, which lets you interact, influence, and enjoy exclusive bonus content.